this section relates more to how I'm going to be changing things rather than what I've been doing recently. This was the project as it's been seen recently, and as you know from previous videos, when it's reviewed, it's working on the XML functions for the text. I've had various checks and checklists in there. Now the XML I was coding, it worked perfectly first time. It's just a case of making it work in the way I need it to work with my variables. So here it tells me the XML class, and it was randomly testing things for what I needed later on. I was using the bold button to test things. As you can see, it's undefined now because it wasn't in the right section. But I've also at the same time been working on my personal portfolio for once I graduate, which is this. Now I used a lot of the things and themes that I've used in my final project because this is my portfolio. I want it to relate to my work, and then it's bigger than your final project. The problem I've got though is that my portfolio comes out a lot better, it's a lot cleaner. I'll show you a run through of this. It's got a random background generator, like an on math. It's got my background features, which I think I want to do for my final project anyway. All of these, now if you mouse over them, they say titles at the top rather than searching. If you go through to, say, curriculum vitae, apart from the lag, you can see that it loads in the different sections of the portfolio. It loads in this with text, and I love the way that this area here, the text is slightly indented, because it makes it seem a lot less convoluted. And then even got my arrows to work, my custom features. The problem is, if you look at the code for this, the actual sort of the layout of the structure, for this, it all fits on one tiny timeline. Very small, very compact, and the way that it gets around having multiple things loading is just through use of movie clips, really, because these are still the same movie clips they used to be, the icons. They've got the same kind of code inside them, they've only got a slightly different code for the icon background, which is just to control the mouse overs and control which one of these movie clips it views. I'll show you an example. Let's close that down. Okay. We want icon background. So many convoluted files in this still, a lot of them I don't even need. So say you go for the action script of this button here. You can see that it just tells it on the press, run the context transition, on the rollover, change the text, and on the rollout, change it back. Very simple bit of text there. And then when you move that across and look down at the actual actions layer for this, this is where it becomes a little bit more complex. Basically, all of these different things are functions, and they just control what to make visible and what to not inside the background, inside the animation for which scene you're looking at, just by playing them or resetting them back to 0. So it always only plays the one it needs to play, because when it loads the movie clip, it plays the movie clip. If we go inside that movie clip there, I mean, that is something I really need to be using for my final project, but the layout of my final project hasn't been set up for that. Let me see, content. As you can see, for content, it's just 6 layers. One of them is actions, one for each of the sections. All they are is, it's just basically a placeholder to keep them all in one place, so that I can easily have them on the main timeline inside one movie clip. It's kind of like in Director, you set up sub-director files to run. If you go into content areas, we can see that, ignoring arrows, because arrows was something I was working on for it. If you go to portfolio, for example, portfolio movie clip is what contains all the text, all the animation for that particular scene, and it just starts it or makes it go back to 1, because the first few frames of it are blank, without anything there, because it fits time-wise into what I was doing on the final project, on the actual timeline. It means that I can so much more easily just control things. And using XML and seeing how it uses parent directories and child directories, first child nodes, you can do the same thing with Flash. I just haven't done with my final project because I didn't realise how to do it. The difference being that I made the portfolio after doing what I've done in Flash, and I did the portfolio very quickly as well, because a lot of the code and the layout themes were already there. I'd already had them in place. But the problem I've got here is I've been using multiple scenes and it's just getting very involved, when it can be made much more simply, and it will be much easier to control the simpler it is. So we have the final project Next Generation. What this is going to be is I'm going to redo the movie clips for all the different scenes like I've done with the portfolio, and I'm going to use the same layout, the same things like that, and I'm going to remake it in the theme I made the portfolio, just so that I can get rid of the problems that are inherent in the final project at the moment. I'll leave my code comment in, and I'll do a written documentation of this change. But this change, it may seem rather major, but not really. It makes me lose maybe a day in resetting things up, because once I've got things set up in a much easier to understand fashion, so once I've got them set up in the way that I'm thinking now that I'm using XML, I can then control the elements using XML, which is just, it's mind-boggling how much better it is to use it like that. I'll post another video after I've got more done. Once I conclude it.